I was recently contacted by a local company to come up with a recipe using their bone broth, so I headed to the farmer's market to check them out. Okay, so quick disclaimer. While I did receive some free samples from Bones Marrow, this is in no way a paid endorsement. It's just going to be an honest review of what I think of their products.
Hi there, I'm Ryan Weave. I'm with Bones Marrow Broth Company. We've been around for a few years. For the first few years, focused exclusively on just coming up with a really nutritious and delicious bone broth. Something obviously a good starter for soups, but just also a versatile cooking broth. Any soup, sauce, stir-fry gravy, boiling rice, quinoa, risotto. And then we've recently branched into 2 fully pre-prepared soups made with our slow simmer broth. And everything we do is gluten-free, dairy-free, no sugar added, produced fresh from scratch and then sold frozen.
So today, I'll be using their Bare Bones Broth to make a quick and easy summer market ramen. Since I'm only making one portion, I'll only need about half of the container's worth. You can adjust the recipe as needed. This bone broth is a combination of beef and chicken, and it has a base flavor similar to a light ramen stock. But we're gonna up the umami factor with the addition of dashi kombu, sea kelp, and dried shiitakes. This will give it that classic ramen broth flavor. Place over low heat since you don't want this to simmer, just slowly infuse. For the protein, I'm going with skin-on chicken thighs. The reason I chose skin-on thighs is because we'll be using them as part of the topping for the ramen. The skin will pull off fairly easily, just try not to rip it. And don't worry about any of this leftover fat either, we'll be using that too. On a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, spread out the chicken skin so that it's laying completely flat. One will work, but I had a couple extra in my fridge. Then season them pretty generously with kosher salt and place them in an oven preheated to 300 degrees Fahrenheit until the fat has completely rendered and they're extra crispy. To remove the bone from the thigh, make quick shallow cuts with a sharp knife along both sides of the bone. Then take your index finger and poke it through underneath the bone. Detach the smaller end of the bone, pull back and scrape the meat down with the edge of the knife. Slice around the cartilage, then completely detach the bone. Add the now boneless, skinless thigh to a small bowl, and to that add soy sauce, midden, sweet cooking wine, dark soy sauce, this is optional as it's just for color, and some freshly cracked black pepper. Give it a good mix and allow it to marinate for at least 10 minutes. The chicken skins will be nice and crispy at this point, borderline rock hard, but that's what we're looking for. Do not throw away the chicken oil collected on the bottom, as we'll be using that to flavor the ramen later on. Place some paper towel down, placing the skins on top, and dry them out as much as possible. If you notice any pieces of chicken skin sticking out, make sure you remove them. And then eat them. For, reasons. Break up the crispy chicken skins and add them to a mortar and pestle. If you don't have one, you can use a plastic seal bag, but I'll have a link in the description for the one I'm using, as well as the rest of the equipment I use in this episode. To that, we're going to add some roasted sesame seeds, then grind everything up into not quite a powder, making something similar to Japanese Gomashio, which is a type of seasoning made from hulled sesame seeds. This stuff is all the kinds of deliciousness. Before we start grilling the chicken, I've also got some local sweet corn that I picked up at the market, cause corn in ramen is also all the kinds of deliciousness. I'm using lump charcoal for the barbecue since I want it to burn hot and fast while giving everything a nice smoky flavor. Place the corn and the marinated chicken on the opposite side from the coals. You want them to cook with indirect heat for 2 to 3 minutes before getting some char. Then place the corn right next to the coals until they darken and blister, and the chicken directly over the coals until both sides are crispy with a nice bit of char and the thigh is cooked through. At this point, you can discard the kombu and shiitakes from the broth while keeping it hot on low. The flavor is also pretty bangin'. Then place a pot of water to boil over high heat for the noodles. I'm using my Japanese noodle basket since it just makes life that much easier. While we wait for the water to boil, we can finish off the ramen topping, starting with some thinly sliced green onion, followed by slicing the corn kernels off of the cob. For the chicken, I'm slicing it pretty thin as I want the consistency to be kind of like pulled chicken. I've also got some nice Shimeji mushrooms and a soy marinated soft egg. You can check out episode 41 from my ramen series to learn how to make them. They're incredibly easy and will give your ramen that extra wow factor. For the noodles, I'm using these fresh ones that I made the day before. You can also check out episode 42 from my ramen series to learn how to make these as well. Add the noodles to the boiling water and cook until they've still got some bite to them, as they'll soften up a bit more once in the broth. Then bust out your fanciest bowl and add the rendered chicken oil. I'm also adding some soup soy sauce, which has a ton of umami, and some light soy sauce, which will give it some much needed salty seasoning. You can use regular soy sauce if you're unable to get either. Pour in the hot ramen broth, then completely drain the ramen noodles before adding them to the bowl so you don't dilute any of the flavor. Then top with the barbecue chicken, grilled sweet corn, mushrooms, marinated egg, green onion, and last but not least, the chicken skin Gomashio. And that's it! Summer market ramen. I gotta say, the bone broth from Bones and Marrow was really nice in this, and it was a quick and easy way to make a from-scratch ramen without actually making it from scratch. So a big thanks to Ryan for letting me try their broth.
So you can find us on any social media at Bones and Marrow Broth, or at our website at www.bonesandmarrowbroth.com.
If you like my channel and are interested in supporting it, you can check out my Ko-fi page. I'll leave a link for that as well as the equipment and tools I used in the description. And don't forget to like and subscribe. It's the easiest way to support the channel and helps me make new content each and every week. Thanks for watching, and stay awesome.